You tell me when. We're on? Give me a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're on. Oh, this is so great. See, this is what happens when you take 6 months off. So this is GBH Amplifies here at the Boston Public Library. I'm a little rusty because they gave me a 6-week vacation, everybody. It wasn't paid, though. It wasn't paid, so it wasn't that great. No, but it was good. So GBH Amplifies, if you don't know what we're doing here, neither do I. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Welcome to GBH Amplifies. This is a weekly community conversation, different hosts. It's a series that looks to give voices to different people in our community. So next week we'll have a different host, different topics. Today is my turn to introduce to you different guests, different voices. And the topic today is an interesting one. And hopefully that young man right there, hopefully, no, you are young. Don't worry. Don't look behind you. You're pretty young. Hopefully you will hopefully you will learn something, and definitely, hopefully you will laugh, because I think I'm pretty funny sometimes.
Yeah,
so we'll see. Even when this thing falls off, especially. But anyways, today's topic is the Latino population of Massachusetts. It continues to be one of the fastest growing segments of the community. But how well do you know this community? Well, we're going to here to tell you a little bit about it, because we can't do it in an hour. We've got the next hour. But today we'll take a look at a couple of organizations and leaders that are helping to prepare for the next big shift and the next generational shift in leadership. Leadership positions across a wide range of industries and power bases, because as my good friend Phyllis Barajas, who I will introduce shortly, what is the quote that I'm going to steal from you?
That Latinos are the succession plan for the country.
The succession plan for the United States is right here, and you're going to hear about it. So I'm going to start with, you like that one? You like that one? Okay. Phyllis Barajas.
Yes.
I would like to introduce you first. You're not only a very good friend who's going to be celebrating a huge achievement in the next couple of weeks, but tell me about Conexión. You're the director, you're actually the CEO and founder of Conexión. To your left is Carlos Vasquez, Director of Engagement of Conexión. And I want to start with Conexión because, first of all, what does the word Conexión mean?
It's Spanish for connections.
And why did you name your organization that way?
We named it that way given the changing demographics. Since day one of this organization and before, we recognized that the United States was changing. It's been changing for a very long time in a way that we've seen a growing presence of people of Hispanic, Latino heritage. And we recognized that we were also missing in a lot of places, especially in leadership. So we decided that we should do something about the leadership pipeline, hence the succession planning. And we decided that we needed to make connections with the leadership of this country so that we would be ready to continue to support the United States going forward.
So what's the basic premise of Conexión? I understand it has a lot to do with mentorship, right?
Yes.
You're connecting, and in the beginning, it was usually older males mentoring young and up-and-coming Latinos and Latinas, right?
Correct. When you think about it, it's rather quaint to think about it now. 20 years ago, we were focusing on the leadership of the United States across every sector, government, nonprofit, business, every sector. And when you looked in all of those sectors, generally speaking, they were led by men and men from the dominant culture. So again, we're all about allies. We're all about connecting with the leadership of the United States of America. So we said, why not? And we found a lot of allies who recognize the importance of succession planning and were willing to volunteer to serve as mentors. And to this day, we're very blessed to have a lot of very successful business people, entrepreneurs, educators, people from all fields who volunteer to mentor our up-and-coming Hispanic Latino talent.
Good. Carlos, Director of Engagement for Conexión. A little bit about you. Where did you grow up? Where were you born? how did you get here to Boston, Massachusetts? Because we all have a different journey of how we got in. I'm going to go to on my right a little bit. But Carlos, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do for Conexión.
Absolutely. I am originally from the Dominican Republic. I was born and raised in the DR, and back home I was a lawyer. And I say back home because when I moved, that reality completely shifted. And I moved almost 9 years ago, initially to New York. So before you ask me, yes, I am a New York Yankees fan.
There we go. Can we cut?
Yeah.
Edit. Yeah. Are you also a Yankees fan? Okay, good. You're a good guy. I knew you were a good guy. No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
But yes, and then I moved here, and it was an interesting transition for me because before that I was just Carlos. I happened to be Dominican, and then I became Hispanic Latino. I struggled a little bit finding my way in the professional workspace, and then I met Conexión through a connection, no pun intended. I was invited to an event. I walked into a room, about 175 professionals who happened to be Latino. So reading name tags, reading Latino last names, and looking at their roles, CFOs, CEOs, COOs, really leaders among all the industries, really impacted me. And right then and there, I decided I wanted to be connected with this organization.
All right, so I want you to think about this. I'm going to come back with you and tell me a little bit about what you love the most about Conexión, some of the achievements you are, because you are celebrating 20 years. But I want to come to my right because one of our guests is so busy that we have her for only a half hour. And that's you, Eneida Roman. I know. And ladies and gentlemen, Eneida Roman, who's another good friend, president and CEO of We Are ALX 100, which, amongst many things, are honoring next week 100 Latinos for their outstanding contributions. And is it the third
year? That's
so there's
right.
300 of us on this list already, right?
That's right.
All right. So tell me about that. And you have one of the past honorees here.
Well, not only that, Vanessa is actually our Legado Award honoree because of the incredible contributions that she's made to ALX. And so we're so incredibly grateful to her, to everything she's done for us. And that's why we recognize her contributions, not just for ALX, but generally speaking, she's an extraordinary leader. And so, I mean, we're absolutely thrilled to do that because, to your point a few seconds ago, there are some stereotypes about Latinos, that Latinos are only in certain sectors or in certain roles or don't speak English or, are all immigrants, and that is inaccurate, right? Like, our goal is to amplify the contributions of Latinos across sectors to demonstrate that there are Latino leaders that, that deserve the visibility and should be able to thrive in their environments.
All right, so I know we have some photos, and I want to see if we could put some of that, because some of them, you can see the whole group, the whole 100,
yes.
right? And in those, for those watching, and you see there, tell me a little bit about the breakup, right? Because they represent different cultures, different countries.
Yes.
We have a commonality, but we also have differences too that we like to celebrate.
Absolutely. I mean, what unites us is our culture, our heritage, our language. But as you can see on that picture, I mean, we are so diverse within our own community, right? And so we come from so many different countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, and even people from Spain, because Hispanic and Latino are one and the same, right? Latino is Latin America, but Hispanic is anybody who speaks Spanish. So we're very proud to have this incredibly diverse group of leaders, also statewide, cross sectors. And another very interesting dynamic is that we have three cultures in one, right? Because the Spanish, when they conquered Latin America, similar to the British here in the United States, there were indigenous people. So we're a mix of indigenous, and then the Spanish, similar to the British, brought slaves to Latin America. So we have black culture in us, and European, right? So it's the European, the black, and the native.
So here's a good question, which we're going to go to Vanessa now, who is our legacy winner, awardee, very much deserved, and we're getting into hers. That's why, I don't know how many times you've gotten it, but that's why sometimes people say, you don't look Latino. And it's like, what's a Latino supposed to look like, right? Because we have very white, very dark, very in between. And that's something I want to get into in a little bit. But Vanessa Calderón, first, congratulations.
Thank you.
Eva, member of many boards. I know you are very active in the community. But tell me about a little bit, for those who don't know, what does EBA stand for? And
Sure.
How did it start and the legacy of IBA? Because it's fascinating for those who don't know.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, for the invitation, and welcome back.
Yes.
And thank you for the audience and your attention to this important topic. So IBA stands for Inquilinos, Boricuas, en Acción.
Take notes. We're going to have a quiz after this audience. What does IBA stand for, which is IBA? One more time.
Inquilinos, Boricuas, en Acción, which, if translated to English, would be Puerto Rican Tenants in Action. And our name comes from our history and our origins. IBA was founded by a group of Puerto Rican activists that in 1968 created the organization to revitalize a part of the neighborhood of the South End that we call Villa Victoria, and in that revitalization, developing affordable housing and community programs. So fast forwarding 57 years to today, IBA continues to do that work in creating and developing and preserving affordable housing and having community programs that span from early education, youth development, resident services, financial empowerment, and the arts. So it's a national model of community development, as it really has these really wraparound services around families and the community. So we have grown to be one of the largest Latino-led organizations in the state and really continue to grow in creating more affordable housing opportunities and programs.
And don't you have this awesome
Yes.
structure coming?
Yes.
Historic. It's going to be beautiful. You tell me a little bit about it. I was there for the groundbreaking and all of that great stuff, and for the tearing down of the old building. But what's going to happen in the south end of Boston?
Sure. So IBA continues to grow, and one of the elements and milestones of that growth is the construction of La Casa, or the Center for Arts, Self-Determination, and Activism, which will be the largest Latino arts hub in New England, but also will host all of IBA's programs, the ones that I just described, that will allow us to expand our programs and really make it an anchor, not only for the Latino community in Boston and specifically in the South End, but beyond into New England.
And if you are wondering, tell us your journey. What is your background? Where were you born, and how did you arrive in this wonderful city?
Thank you. Yes, I was born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I came here many years ago, in 1992 to be precise, as a graduate student to do my PhD in public policy at UMass. And in fact, this beautiful space, this beautiful library, was one of the first places that I came as a graduate student to do research and study. And I do remember at the time I had to register. I got the library card, and they said, oh, it's good for like 25 years. It's like, oh, I won't be here by then. And I was wrong.
And you have roots here now. You have kids. You've got, I see you at the Celtics game. I see you throwing out the first pitch at the Red Sox game. Eneida, before you go, and hopefully you can stay a little bit longer, tell me about your journey, because where were you born and how did you get here to Boston?
Of course, no, I'm happy to do so. Well, I have commonalities both with Vanessa and with Carlos, because I'm also from Puerto Rico, San Juan, and I'm also an attorney. I actually came to Boston to go to law school, and 25 years later, I'm still here because I fell in love with the city, and I just feel like there's so much that we can do here to, to make Massachusetts more competitive and, inclusive for Latinos.
Excellent. All right. Phyllis, I really want you, and then I'm going to get to Carlos. You haven't told your story yet, and I'm fascinated with her resume and her body of work. Please don't be humble. I need to let the audience here knows what you've done, because you've worked for presidents in certain administrations.
Yes.
You started Conexión 20 years ago, but before that, you had a career before where you studied. Don't be shy. We want you to. Plus, I told the GBH that I was going to have awesome guests, so don't make me look bad. Okay? Tell me a little bit about your history.
So is this going to be a special 90 minutes or?
No, 90 seconds.
Oh,
no,
90,
just kidding. No.
okay.
No, but go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So I am of Mexican heritage. My parents were Mexican immigrants. They came up, like a lot of Mexicans did, to work in agriculture and in the packing industry and so forth, which is what my dad and my grandmother did. First in the fields of Nebraska. My dad hated it and wanted to go home to Mexico. And my grandmother, who was very petite and so forth, she looked at him and she said, "No, we came too far. We're not turning back now." So dicho number one, that was her version of the North Star, and we're going to keep going. So that idea of resilience, and you just keep going till you achieve your goals. So fast forward, moved into Omaha, Nebraska, and my dad got a job in the packing industry, and I said, "Why didn't you become a vegetarian?" Because it was not mechanized. And he used to have to push the dead carcasses up from the killing floor to the next level to be butchered. So I hope no one's having a hamburger right now. And he did that, and after that, that certainly wasn't his career. And then the third thing he did was getting into construction industry, and that ended up being a career that he turned into a business, and after that the rest is history. I was the firstborn, and so I learned a lot from working with my dad, following him around. And Omaha, whatever you think of Omaha, it's true. And I'm just saying, I'm here now, so whatever your assumptions are, they're correct. So anyway, working with my dad and living with him, we would go places and people were very rude to him because he didn't speak English well. And in the end, the second dicho was, I'd say to my father as a teenager, "That guy was rude to you," and then he'd say, "Hija, you have to educate the people." So second rule, you don't raise your voice, you don't let them hook you, and you just stand your ground and respect yourself, and that's it. So fast forward, left Omaha, went east. I'll skip over a lot of the stuff that I've done. I've been a teacher, a social worker, and so forth. I have a degree in education from BU, Boston University here. And then I worked at Harvard at the Kennedy School for Robert Putnam, which is a connection to Conexión. Then I ended up getting recruited by members of the Clinton administration. I became a deputy assistant secretary in the Department of Education for 5 years, from 94 to 99. And at the time, and this is important, there were only 140 Hispanic Latino appointees out of almost 2,000. It was 1,850 appointees. And there were only 140 of us that were of Latin heritage. And again, another lesson. If you're going to be there, you better do something, you better speak up, or why be there? And so we did. And some of what happened then and is happening now is reverberations of that time. And I learned a lot, and I'll stop there, and then came back and started Conexión.
Very interesting. And again, I know that we're celebrating 20 years of Conexión, but I knew you before then, and I knew your history, and I wanted to share that with the audience. So, here in summary, okay, Dominican,
Yes, sir.
Chicana, Mexican.
Mexican,
Yeah.
Puerto Rican, half Cuban, half Ecuadorian, and he's half asleep, so please wake him up right there. Yeah. So this is the beauty of today's show, right? We're letting people know a little bit more about ourselves. And one of the things that I always find is that we actually have more in common than folks who don't know about us know, right? I actually I'm a BC High, Boston College guy, right? So I went to high school with all Irish Catholic. And when I got there, I didn't realize how much I had in common with Irish Catholic families and upbringing, the strictness, the party. And Irish people can party, right? All of this stuff, because we tend to look at each other different. What are some of the things that you'd like to share with our audience that people don't understand, that we're not much different than maybe some of the people watching us right now?
Well, there's so much that I can say, right? But for me, one of the most important things that stands out is that I see Latinos across the country in different roles, in leadership roles, and that is not common knowledge. Like, I think there's this stereotype that a lot of Latinos are in entry-level roles or that don't have certain levels of education. And so for me, it's important to amplify the fact that there are Latinos making huge strides, economic strides, and making a huge difference in society. And we're a part of the fabric of this nation, right? Like, we we are Latinos, Latino Americans, and we're part of the culture and the heritage of this nation. Maybe Latinos weren't here in the 1600s, but Latinos have been here for hundreds of years. And also that the Southwest was really Mexico, was Spain, before it was part of the United States, right? And so Spanish is actually the oldest non-native language spoken in this land. And that's something that a lot of people don't know.
Absolutely. Vanessa, I know you get asked this question too, and you go in any direction, but for our audience who's watching, the GBH loyal followers of on YouTube and other platforms, what would you like to kind of add your 2 cents in?
Yeah, I want to double click on what Eneida said. I think we are very proud of contributing to this country and to society and to our cities, municipalities, and states, whatever we are. And I know in Massachusetts, Latinos are the fastest growing population in the state. And in Boston, and in fact, without Latinos, the population growth of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts would have been stagnant. So, and we're very proud of that. We want to continue to contribute to the fabric of this wonderful state that has opened their arms for all of us, except for you. You were born in this state. But the four of us haven't, and this is our home now, and we want to contribute, so that's important. I think another, there's so many interesting and important facts, but one fact that sometimes people do not know or understand is that if you go around in most of our families, especially from Puerto Rico, but even other families from Latin America, we have members of our families that have served in the Army or the forces, whether it's the Navy, the Army, the Marines. My father, for example, was a Korean veteran. So he was a member of the Buccaneers, all Puerto Rican platoon that fought in Korea and World War II. So these are things that we carry with pride because we feel that we have been making a contribution for years and can make many more in years to come.
Yeah, I remember there was an event that actually GBH hosted last year.
Yes.
I want you to talk a little bit about the author of the book and the author, because he said something very important that I remember was, and I want you to expand on this, is people think that immigrants are going to change America. But the fact is, America changes immigrants more than the other way around. Could you expand on that? Who said that?
Well, the guest that we had last year, and he's going to be at our event on October 23rd, is Ray Suarez, who's been on NPR for many, many years. And his point is that when you come to the United States, it does change you. The sacrifice that people make to come here, and I think especially for people of Mexican heritage in particular, we really want to fit in. We want to contribute. We want to be of value, and I certainly know that we were communicated to really add value to the United States. As you look around the economy, and in every sector, you will find people of Latin heritage, Mexicans, about 60% of the Hispanics in the United States are contributing. That said, one of the delicate balances is this issue of fitting in. So in terms of to what extent does the country change the immigrant, or to what extent does the immigrant change the country, I think it goes both ways. But again, part of it is for many, many immigrants, they've come for a better life. And that means economic changes in their economic state of being, which is going to affect their lifestyle and their education.
Yeah, and Carlos, I know you could speak to this a little bit because you came at a young age. Now you have kids here. You told me earlier.
Yep.
The odds that our kids and our grandchildren are going to be more Latino than American, it doesn't happen, right? You become more American. Sometimes we don't teach our kids to speak Spanish, lose some of the culture, and if you want to bring back your kid to DR, they don't feel at home. This is home for them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And getting back to your previous question, I would say a concept that we all have in common is the American dream, right? I happen to be a dad of 3 boys, and I'm sure that as everyone else, I am concerned about the economy, I am concerned about housing, I am concerned about education. Those are all things that unite us, our concerns for the well-being of the country. Now that I live here, if I were to ask my kids, as we were talking earlier, my oldest, when we go to the DR and I tell him, what would you say if we move here? Are you crazy? Boston's my home. My friends are there. Like, everything's there. And I tell him, you can make new friends. Yeah, but they're not like my friends in Boston. So it's this idea that, like, I happen to be Dominican, and he will say, I'm a Bostano. And he's refused to speak Spanish in certain occasions and whatnot. And I think it's that concept that I am the immigrant. He is home. And now this is my home because home is where my family is. And, you know, kind of like to piggyback on that, we're all united by that idea of wanting to do better, of wanting better things for our people, for our communities. Not just my family, not just myself, but my extended community, which happens to be colleagues, friends, people who I work with, people who I've met once. And I go home thinking, I hope he makes it. I hope he gets that job he's going for.
The name of the show is WGBH Amplifies, right? It's different community. Before it was We Are ALX. It was Amplify Latino X. Because, and I want to use that word because you used it already.
Yeah.
But how important is that to amplify their voices? Because sometimes the narrative, gets hogged by extremes on both sides.
Right.
So how important is to amplify what we're talking about today?
No, absolutely. Thank you for that question, Alberto. And I will say ALX stands for Amplifying Latino Excellence, so Amplify is still part of our name. And the reason that we focus on excellence is because it's not about, like giving away anything. It's about earned spots, right? And it's about making sure that we have talent across sectors and visibility across sectors for Latinos so that we continue contributing, because when you have a workforce that is growing exponentially, that is a loss for the state. It's a loss for our competitiveness if we're not making sure that these people are getting jobs that in high growth sectors and that are having high-paying jobs so that they can pay back into taxes and contribute to the economy. Because when you have a population that's growing, but that population is not necessarily making as much money, that limits our potential, right? And that limits our competitiveness as a Commonwealth. So that is what we argue for. We know that literally 26% of our GSP growth in Massachusetts in the last decade came from Latinos, when Latinos are only 13.5% of the population. So if you think about that, that's double the rate of the presence that we have here. So imagine if there was more investment. When we think of ROI, it's not just our return on investment, but return on inclusion, making sure that we have more inclusion of diverse leaders, not just Latino leaders, all types of diverse leaders, right? So that we make sure that we have a more competitive Commonwealth. And that is what we stand for.
Do you have to run?
Kind of. I have
know
another
you've gotta go.
presentation at 1:30.
Yeah. We're going to let her go, right? Do we let her go? We let her go? Let her run so
I
she's
don't
not
want to go,
late?
but I have to go.
So I
Thank
know.
you.
That's why I
Thank
wanted
you for
to
having
make
me.
sure.
A little bit about the event before you go.
Yes, of course. No,
So
I'm happy to.
yes, for those watching at home or in the audience, you've got a great event coming up out in November, right?
Yes, we do. November 7th, Friday, November 7th, we're going to host our third annual ALX 100, which is, again, Amplifying Latino Excellence. We amplify 100 Latino leaders each year, and right now we're up to 300, and we've hosted the event here, actually, at the Boston Public Library, our inaugural year, at the Museum of Science, where Phyllis's event is going to be next week, and then this year it's going to be at the JFK Library. And we're really excited because, again, it's a celebration of excellence. We come together. We have so many allies, and it's not just Latinos. I mean, it's people who believe in the mission, believe in the work, believe in the importance of making sure that we have an inclusive Commonwealth and an inclusive economy.
And it's a fun event.
It is a lot of fun. Yes.
One thing about us that the stereotype is true. We are fun. We are fun.
Yeah, we know how to throw a good party.
We like to have a good time, and
No.
that is one thing that event and Conexión event is coming up, and that's at the Museum of Science.
Yes, on October 23rd,
October, what day of the week is that?
Thursday.
Thursday, October 23rd. Hopefully, I'll see you guys at the Museum of Science, and then on Friday.
November 7th. To learn more, go alx100.org.
Yeah, and to learn more about your event.
Conexion-all.org.
So Conexión with an X, right?
With an X, yeah.
C-O-N.
CONEXION-ALL.org.
Excellent. Okay. You got to run, right?
Thank you for having
Okay.
me.
No problem. All right. We're going to continue the conversation. Does anybody in the audience have any questions? Because we are going to open up the mic. And it could be anything. It could be a fun comment. It could be a question. It could be a deep question. It could be just a comment. What do you think? Because for those viewing, we have this awesome view of a really good-looking audience. And they're here having their latte. They're chilling out. As long as I don't see any Yankees hats, I'm really happy. I'm very happy with that. So, so please feel free. Yeah, feel free to come up and ask a question or make a comment, because that's what we're here. Also, that's why we want to take advantage of the space. The space. You like the space?
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's a great
great
view.
space.
It's a great view.
Great audience. Too.
Yes, it really, really is. Okay, Latinos in Massachusetts. Let's give the audience a little bit of our own personal kind of views on certain things, right? All right. What have you learned since being in Boston that you tell other Latinos about this city? Because I'm a Bostonian, so I was born here, so I love this city. But I like to hear from people who come here and stay here, is what exactly made you stay here?
All right, everybody knows Dunking, right?
Yeah,
the brand,
yeah.
right? And their slogan,
Yeah.
America runs on Dunking,
Yeah.
Boston runs on Latinos.
Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Okay, all right. Tell me
And
more.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first moved to New York, I would hang out, and pretty much everyone happened to be Dominican. And it was great, it was absolutely amazing to bump into other people who shared my culture and whatnot, and we had some things in common. Then I moved to Boston, and it was somewhat the same experience, but it was broader. I was connecting with folks from Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and it's just a learning experience as well. For me, it was a learning experience. It was about learning that, yes, we have some differences, but we have so much in common. We have so much history in common. That made me actually, study more, learn about, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Venezuela, and how our stories are intertwined. And you see that here. You really do see that in Boston. No matter where you go, it doesn't matter what role, you will run into a Latino doing great things. And it's a very welcoming city. It really invites you to stay.
Good. How about you, Phyllis? Because when did you get here?
Well, I got here in the late 80s.
Late 80s. Okay. Obviously, I grew up here. And when did you get here?
1992.
Yeah. So, full transparency, as a very proud Bostonian, it wasn't always like that, Carlos. We were very, very cliquey, segregated, but also neighborhoods. I mean, when you talk about segregation, it wasn't just racially segregated. It was like the kids from East Boston didn't like the guys from South Boston, and the guys from South Boston didn't like the guys from Dorchester. So it was a lot of this rivalry of not just racially, but of neighborhoods. So Boston now is just, because now I go to South Boston and I see all different kinds of people, right? I go to the South End, see all kinds of folks. So it's changed a lot for the better. And I think we've become kind of a national model. You've traveled all around the country.
Oh, yeah.
What are you most proud of this great city?
Well, I mean, the point that you just raised, when I first moved here, more than 50%, in the late 80s, more than 50% of the Latino population in this area was under the age of 21. And that was shocking to me, coming from Nebraska, and then I'd lived in New York, and then came here. And it was a very, very young community, the Latino community, and I was able to find a few folks that were over 20-something with whom to connect. And then I got politically involved with a very small group of Latinos on whose shoulders we all stand, myself included, who are politically active. So in terms of your point, it was just in my experience, having been there since the 80s, watching the Latino political movement grow since then. And I think now we're seeing an explosion now of Latino candidates across the Commonwealth. So for me, remembering what it was like when I first came here to now, I think is a testament to that the region and the city has really embraced, as Carlos said, we run on Latinos. So I think that's positive.
Yeah, similar for me. I mean, when I mentioned the story at the beginning, when I first came to this library and got my library card for 25 years, it's like, I wanted it for that long. And here I am, 30-plus years later. I think for me was a combination of, I see Boston and Massachusetts as very prosperous states with a lot of opportunity, with policies that really resonate with my values around community building, community development, economic development, inclusion. So all those things really resonated with me. And at the same time, I saw a great opportunity to do better for our community and to get involved politically, socially, and economically in different aspects of the fabric of the life of Boston and Massachusetts to make the life better for Latinos. Because even though I saw those wonderful things, I also saw that there was no equal access to those wonderful things for everyone, especially our community. And that was kind of a call to action for me to really get involved and really open those opportunities and resources for our community. So I think we've come a long way from the 80s to the 90s to 9 years ago, and we still have a long way to go. But the future is bright because, as we have said, we have the numbers and we have definitely the drive and the desire to really contribute and add value to our city and our state.
All right, let me test them on what they've just said. And I'm going to test the audience too, okay? This is an exercise for all of us, okay? You're Puerto Rican. You're Dominican. You're Mexican. Do you have Dominican friends? Do you have Dominican?
Yes.
How about Colombian?
Claro.
Are you sure?
Por supuesto.
Por supuesto.
Yes, of course, 100%.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. Because again, I don't know how many Latino friends. Now you could be our friend after today. We'll all be your friend, and then you could start expanding. Sandra, where are you from? Texas, Mexico, right? Mexican background. Lauren, how about you? I want kind of the staff. I'm from New Hampshire. Yes, beautiful country that is. Yeah. All right, and that is leaving. Young man, where are you from? What would you consider you? Where's your background from? Where are your family from? Where? Mission Hill?
Michigan.
Oh, Detroit,
Detroit,
Michigan.
yeah.
Okay, so, but your family background came generations ago from where? Ukraine, okay? You see, we find so many people. Anybody else want to tell me kind of where they're from? Because you'll be amazed at the background of so many of us coming to this country. That couple over there that looks very comfortable. You look like...
Their heritage, yeah.
Huh?
What's their heritage?
Yes. What is kind of your background? Oh, there we go. By the way, you would be surprised how many of us Latinos have Ireland in the bucket list to travel. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, we want to visit Ireland. Absolutely.
I've been there. It's a beautiful
You've been
country.
there. See,
I've
she's
been to
already
Ireland.
been there.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
country.
No,
Yeah.
she did. She took a picture and she posted it. Said, "A Puerto Rican in Ireland."
Yes. In the cliffs.
In the cliffs, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
more.
All right. So again, all right, Mexican. What is something that you've learned or is different from another Latino group, different than your upbringing? So, what does a Puerto Rican do, or a Colombian do, or Argentinian do that's different from you?
Oh, geez. Food for starters.
Food. I knew she was going to go with food.
Well, I like to cook, but
Yes. So let's clear it up. We're from the Caribbean.
Likewise.
We didn't grow up eating tacos, right? Even though they're delicious. But some of my Irish friends like tacos more than I do. They're like, what? I'm like, I'm Cuban. It's a completely different cuisine. Very different, right? So
Yeah.
that's a good one. I know what's another one?
Music.
Music. Yes,
Music,
yes.
yeah.
We all don't absolutely love Bad Bunny. Or maybe that's a bad example. I think people like him. But you grew up, so tell me some of the groups that you liked in Puerto Rico.
Right. Well, growing up, salsa
Salsa.
was really very popular in the 70s. So, the Fania All-Stars, New York style salsa, Cuban son. So those were very popular, when I was growing up. So those were kind of, but I was also exposed to rock and roll and
Yeah.
to other rhythms, merengue, cumbia,
No, wait,
from other parts
let's
of
say
Latin
the
America.
Dominican- you have
Play
to,
me my music.
you have to tell these people, at least my favorite form of Dominican music, Romeo Santos. Let's
Bachata?
go with that. Explain what bachata is.
You can't explain what bachata. You need to
You
feel
wanna
it.
dance? You wanna do a
You need-
demonstration?
You need to feel what bachata is.
You gotta
You have
feel
to dance.
bachata. Does anybody know what bachata is? Have you ever danced bachata? You haven't? You have? So bachata is this beautiful
Yes.
dance that is, I think it's very sexy.
Yeah, it
By
is.
the
It
way.
is
It's very sensual. It's
Very
beautiful.
essential. The music is beautiful. It's
Yeah.
usually very romantic. Almost, someone going through heartbreak or something like that. And poetic at the same time. And keep in mind that, also in the DR, and as in many other countries, we've used music as a way to express civic struggles and whatnot.
Yep. And by the way, we all don't know how to dance salsa. Are you a
No.
salsa dancer?
No.
See, no, I knew that, I knew that. But what was your
I am.
music growing up?
Well, actually, I grew up in Omaha, so a lot of American music.
So what, Barry Manilow?
my little girl liked Manilow, yeah.
Everyone Humperdinck? No. So no, but growing up, what was some? Because I think one of the ways we can connect too is not just racially or gender-wise. It's, hey, you like Michael Jackson? I like Michael Jackson.
Absolutely.
Hey, you like this type of food? I like this type. Hey, you like to do this? I like this. It's
I
the
mean,
human connection, right?
It is. I mean, given the kind of audience that Conexión has, whenever we do events, and Carlos is a wonderful dancer and knows his music and has an amazing collection, it is a stereotype because he has a very diverse taste in music, and he will point that out on more than one occasion. And so it's kind of interesting that we tend to put people in little
We
boxes
do.
sometimes.
So give me a little.
Absolutely. Well, I would say I grew up in a different age. Like generationally, we're different. I grew up in the times of MTV. So a lot of the music that we consume was, yes, local, but also from all over the world. I happen to have a very keen like for jazz, blues, even classical music. And I have a record collection. I'm a record explorer, so sometimes I'll go to a record shop and grab a vinyl from Japan or Africa, name a country. And then identifying the sounds that we have in common, the loans, basically, cultural loans that we as Latinos have from other cultures and vice versa. You'd be amazed when you listen to a song from another artist, American, name it, and it's a merengue sample or a bachata sample, and you're like, hey, I know this song. And that really gets to me because it speaks to how much in common we have, how much art can expand your view.
Yeah, and I want to add to that because it's so true. I mean, our culture is so diverse in itself. It's not monolithic.
Yes.
And it comes, we talked about the food, but the music is one example in which we all have symphony orchestras in our countries and philharmonic orchestras in our countries, and we honor jazz and all these influences that came from Africa. And Eneida earlier talked about, the African influence in our culture, food, music, language, as well as the indigenous contributions to our culture, language, food, and Europeans. So we are really a very rich community of and diverse in that sense. And for example, we are bringing, EVA is partnering with the BSO to bring the
That's right.
Orquesta Sinfónica de Puerto Rico to Boston, a historic debut on November 14th. And it's precisely because of that. We want to make sure that the audience here in Boston, not just Latinos, but classical music lovers and otherwise, can really learn and understand about Puerto Rican and Latino composers that we have that really are not just Beethoven and Mozart, yes, of course, but all throughout Latin America, we have wonderful composers of all sorts of music,
That's right.
including classical music.
That's right. That's right.
And I think that's so important. The crossover is so important because we don't even know that. And we've done events where we showed the influence of Cuban music on jazz.
Yes.
Yes.
Because it's real. It goes both
Because-
ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes
I would
both
add to
ways,
that
yeah.
fashion. So fashion is something that we have different in different countries. Ponchos happen to respond to a different region. And I'm sure everybody knows ponchos in a fashion sense, right? And then chacabanas or guayaberas are more of a Caribbean thing.
So, in the last couple minutes that we have, I want to address something that's been in the news and get everybody's perspective on it. Bad Bunny and the Super Bowl halftime. We've read about it. We've seen people very happy, some people who are upset. Could we kind of go over, because full disclosure, I am not a huge Bad Bunny fan. Not huge funny. No, there's a lot of reasons. Not my I'm an R&B guy anyways, and bachata. But the point is, but I have no problem. As a matter of fact, I applaud. My initial reaction was, oh my God, that's awesome. Oh my God, that's awesome. And I'm not a Bad Bunny fan. Okay, so we'll get into it. You as a Puerto Rican, what's your take on it? Did you see him in Puerto Rico?
Yes.
So you went to the residency on the
Yes.
island.
Unlike you, I'm a big Bad Bunny fan.
Yes.
And you know, and you have seen in Bad Bunny, like you see with many artists of any walks of life, an evolution on their work, on their art, on their
Yeah.
music, on their lyrics. And you know, there are some lyrics earlier in his career that I'm not crazy about. I'm not a reggaeton person, but I do like some reggaeton. But I think this new evolution of his work has been really instrumental and important in cementing the sentiment of Puerto Ricanness, of being Boricua, of really feeling that you belong, especially because Puerto Rico has been a territory of the United States for over 100 years. It feels that, you know, the migration of Puerto Ricans out of the island into the mainland have created, you know, opportunities for gentrification of the island, has created opportunities for kind of a deeper assimilation and loss of certain cultural values that he's bringing back to younger generations. So he's introducing younger generations through his genre and this new evolution of his work to going back to our roots of bomba, of plena, of música jíbara, music from the mountains. So really kind of reintroducing, and with that kind of claiming space. And that's why people from all over Latin America and the world who are not Puerto Rican are feeling, yes, I can see he talks about Puerto Rico, but I can see my country or myself reflected and in that song or in that lyric. So I think that's why his work is being so embraced globally.
Yeah, yep. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think, again, I'm going to go back to what we chatted about earlier before we started. I look at these types of events as opportunities to continue to reinforce a trend that's happening. This whole shift in the composition of the United States. And this is an example of something I see as can have real positive impact. And I mean, every year they have some type of a super show, and every year some people think it's great and some people think it isn't. I mean, this year we're focused on Bad Bunny. This isn't the first time that somebody's been on there and they're wondering, well, why did they pick that person? So I think that is part of a larger trend that we're introducing people from another genre. But again, somebody could say, you know, I actually thought it was a pretty cool show, you know. So we're going to open up people's thinking, hopefully in a positive way. But again, I see it as part of a larger trend that's continuing to really show that what we are doing is really making the country great and will in the future.
I would agree with both. I happen to enjoy some of his music, and there's a particular thing about this album, right? It's a statement about the Puerto Rican sentiment. But also, at Conexión, we're in the business of building bridges.
Which, by the way, I want to clear this up because I think it's important. It is not anti-American.
It is not at all.
So people who don't understand his lyrics and don't understand it, he is not anti-American. I mean, I am pro-America. I would not support an anti-American. So, and again, he's a citizen of the United States, which in my end gives him a lot more credibility to be critical of his own country, of his own background. But he's not anti-American. He's just raising different issues, as almost all artists do. From country music to jazz to R&B. I mean, he is no more like radical than anybody else, because I've seen that term being used to describe it. Again, I am not a Bad Bunny fan, but he is not radical.
He's not at all. No, not at all. He's just bracing, I would say, awareness to his people. He's addressing his people in a way that they can grow comfortable with their identity. And reclaim it in a sense for them. It's not about us. Dominican Republic has nothing to do with what he's doing. Yet, we've been great allies of Bad Bunny. He calls it his second home. So, you know, in that sense, I see this as an opportunity to build bridges between communities in general.
And Alberto, I want to add that obviously we're in a very difficult, without getting political, we're in a very difficult juncture in history in this country. And many of us feel, not obviously this is not a sentiment that everyone, but at least I'm speaking for myself, and people like me who feel that at this moment in time, there are a number of things that are happening that are trying to erase us, erase culture, erase community, erase people, and erase contributions. And I think that when I heard the announcement, I was just not happy because of all the things we've said, but also because we need to make sure that we're represented and that people see us, and that people hear us, especially in this time in which it feels like erasure.
And a little known fact, let's see who knows this. Did you know this was not Bad Bunny's first time appearing at the halftime show
Yep.
in the Super Bowl? Did you know that? You know when he appeared? Does anybody in the audience know the actual first time Bad Bunny appeared in a halftime show? Does anybody know? None of you know, right? I'm gonna. Who did he appear with? Who did he appear with? Shakira and
Shakira
J-Lo.
and J-Lo.
Remember Shakira and J-Lo?
J-Lo.
Yeah.
A few years ago, that awesome show. They brought him on
2020, yeah.
when he was not this global sensation.
Right.
And he was on, and I remember the next day on Sports Radio, they're like, who is this Bugs Bunny? I go, no, it's not Bugs Bunny. Bad Bunny. And I said, you're going to hear a lot from him. And here he is. Now he is the headliner. All right. Thank you so much for spending
thank
an
you for
hour
having
with
us.
us and all these beautiful folks here at GBH Amplifies.
Pleasure.
Thank you guys. Nobody left, which is good. We did a good job. So again,
October 23rd, that's a Thursday, at the Boston Museum of Science.
Okay, 20th anniversary?
Correct.
20 years.
anniversary.
20th anniversary. And you?
November 14th, La Sinfónica de Puerto Rico at Boston Symphony Hall, and November 7th, we are ALX 100.
Mark your calendars. Don't tell me you didn't know about it. You heard it here, and GBH Amplifies. So I'm going to ask that gentleman, did you learn? Yeah. Did you like? Yeah. Did you laugh? All right, we did it.
Mission accomplished,
That was it. Hey, everybody, thank you for stopping by. Thank you, and stay tuned to GBH Amplifies. Follow us on the social media, and I'll see you next time when I'm here at the News Cafe. Bye-bye.